really innocent.
F-R-E-E, fuck nigga free. That mean I ain't gotta worry about no fuck nigga cheat. And I'm S-I-N.
Come on, Mike.
2 brave women come up here and suck a cucumber dick. Mike eats some watermelon pussy.
Welcome back to Good Moms, Bad Choices.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Mila.
Happy hump day.
Happy hump day, bitches.
It's time to smoke a blunt. It's time to smoke a blunt.
Is it backwood o'clock?
And your nipples out.
It's not out.
Your nipples out.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you, my areolas are camouflage.
See-through?
They're camouflage. So, yeah, you can't see it.
If you're on YouTube, go now. Look at Mila's nipples.
The 1 minute mark.
And maybe you'll see mine, because mine are really big and they keep popping out of my dress.
This is how we entice people to come to our YouTube.
Come to our YouTube channel.
So all 20,000 of our subscribers mostly came over to see our nipples.
Excuse me, it's like 24,000. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you click the subscribe button so you get alerted every time our beautiful faces hit the YouTube channels.
We got a nice studio and shit. We look good. We be getting dressed and putting on makeup and shit.
Yep.
Holla.
Today I'm wearing orange because I'm flirty. And it's the end of summer and I wanted to feel flirty and orange. And I have these beautiful accessories on. If You Dare Accessories. This is a female-founded, female-owned, black-owned accessory business. And I like my earrings. They're very bushy. They're
You look like you're petting
soft. They're soft. They come in many different colors.
They kind of look like something from Whoville.
Well, you know in the episode we did with Lara and Lionel, and I had the pink ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she makes those.
I'm wearing a Dijon dress with a high split up my sexy.
Dijon?
Fat. I don't know, like looks like mustard.
I've never heard anyone call a color Dijon, ever.
Well, today you did. It's called Dijon mustard, bitch. I was looking at it to figure out what the color was, and I chose Dijon mustard because I'm spicy. This is by Vintage Souls, and we actually have a discount code at Vintage Souls.
Show them the slit.
Hold on, let me do my drip track. My drip track.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me put my shoes on.
Oh wow, you're gonna be stand totally out of camera. Oh yeah, look at that little slit. You can pull it. Pull it to make it. Oh yeah. I love the form fittingness. It looks good on all shapes and sizes. The material is soft, kind of like those Calvin Klein underwear. That, those sheets and those underwear that everyone likes. And if you're on YouTube, you can see Mila shaking her big, fat booty and her nipples out again.
That's my areola. Just a little something, something. I just want to, show my haters a little ass shaking for the day. Set your mood off right.
Are you going to roll the blunt today, my love?
I can, yeah.
Roll it up.
Roll it up, roll it up.
Today, Nelly, shout out to Nelly, our podcast producer. We had no weed, and so she gifted us with hers, and it's actually not weed at all. Or it is weed, sort of weed. It's CBD, THC weed.
It's low THC weed.
It's 7% weed.
So hopefully we won't get midway dumb through the conversation.
You're going to be so smart. We're going to smoke that whole blunt and still be smart.
I'm usually smart when I smoke weed. I just have to smoke it like halfway through the episode. I don't know if you guys notice. If we smoke weed, we only smoke it halfway through the episode because if we start too early,
it took us like 5 years to figure this out.
I think
maybe 4.5 years.
If we start before, then the whole episode would be fucked. But if we start the episode and then we get into a good conversation and then we hit it, then we get smarter. It elevates. But we got to get into the conversation first.
Yeah, we can't.
We can't depend
on.
on.
Start here.
No,
unless it's 420.
This is our tactic.
How are you today, my love?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing really good. I decided that I was going to invite everybody I ever knew in my contact list to my housewarming party.
Perfect.
And now I just realized it's tomorrow, and I ain't got shit.
Oh fuck! I gotta go on Amazon and buy your list. You know what? I was thinking about this. I need to start. We need to start creating Amazon gift lists and just post them on social media, and then we can live the life we want.
I'm about to post my registry on I'm about to post it.
Yeah, I'm posting everything on social. Bitch, buy my whole house.
Well, the thing is, like, Amazon has everything.
Because I really do want new things, and I feel like, you know, I love you guys. I feel like we enrich your lives every week. You know, we give you a lot. The least you could do is buy me a fucking candle, something.
If you buy me a housewarming gift, I'm gonna prop my phone up at the housewarming and put it on live, so you could tune in. You could be there, basically.
But just know it's gonna be the diptyque candle. So that bitch cost about $120, but it's gonna be worth it. And I'm gonna thank you so much. I'll even thank you live on the show. I'll say your name and I'll say thank you so much, Richard, for buying me the diptyque candle.
You know what I was thinking about? I was like, why didn't we do that with the office? Why didn't we have a office warming and like let everyone buy these hundreds of plants?
We didn't have time to waste. We had a lot. We had to capitalize on that Black Friday sale. We literally designed our whole office on a Black Friday sale. We bought as much as we could in like a 2-day period. Cyber Monday, Black Friday.
I'm about to put interior designer on my resume for sure.
Me too.
Because I be designing shit. I'm a clothing designer and an interior designer, actually.
And I design my life.
Yep. Master manifestor designer of all things. And it's done.
And a designer of perfectly rolled vanilla backwoods.
And now for the final touch. Just a little, oh, yeah. Just one little drop of honey. That's what the girls are like.
Someone, I think in our last clip that was on Instagram, I was talking about how niggas always suck on the blunt.
I know, and then I was like, it's so homoerotic.
I was like, we probably could have left that out.
I know. This is how you know we don't really funnel through and edit, because I'd be like, that could have, maybe I shouldn't have to say that. Somewhere a nigga's over there smacking down his blunt, thinking about me calling him homoerotic. Pissed, mad as hell. It is though.
It is. Y'all be
don't teach me no new words, because I won't be using them. Oh yeah, that's homoerotic.
But people often ask us why we put the honey on the blunt. Well, we put the honey on the blunt because A, it makes it a little. Bitch, are you that nigga that sucks on the blunt? Like, are you the person I'm talking about? What's happening over there?
Now it tastes good.
What the fuck? So, the blunt with the honey makes it taste. Bitch, why does the sound? What?
I don't know. I like it.
The blunt with honey makes it taste sweet, and then also it helps it burn slower. But if you're Jamila and you sucked every ounce of the honey off the blunt, I don't know if it's going to make it burn slower.
I spreaded it. It's fine.
Okay.
So I'm going to put this aside so we start talking.
Okay. But it's only 7%. Okay, fine.
Oh,
fine,
you're right.
fine.
Okay,
Just give it a second. Just give it a second. Okay.
We doing it now?
Just light it.
Okay. Where's the lighter?
Oh, the candle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get a little bit high, just a little bit high, a tiny bit high. Every day, just a tiny bit high. Oh my God. No. Okay.
Orlando, make sure you drop the beat there. Anyway, y'all, I know you don't believe us, but we actually have a guest here who's been sitting in silence next to us, trying not to laugh. We are really excited because this guest came to us via our tribe. We posted something on Instagram. We were looking for people in the birthing space, the fertility space, and we were led to Dr. Raquel, the fertility, aka at the Fertility Advantage, and she is a fertility expert. So welcome to the show, Dr. Raquel. And I know you said I don't have to call you doctor, but I feel like, bitch, you worked really hard for that title.
You paid for that. You invested in that title.
Before the episode started, she was like, you don't have to say that. I was like, my daughter will call me a doctor if I am a doctor. Dr. Mom, Dr. E, whatever. Like, even my nigga while we're fucking.
Oh my God, that'd be so fun. Like, call me Dr. Matt.
Call me Dr. Dick. Oh, he doesn't want to do that. That'd be awkward.
Dr. Dick?
Because my last name's Dickerson.
Dr. Dickerson?
That's not going to work.
Well, you can put the sun on it. You can't just say Dr. Dick.
I mean, it's kind of long. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Dr. Matt.
Dr. Dickerson.
Do I need to role play as a doctor? I don't have the debt, but just keep calling me doctor. I'm gonna fix that dick.
I've been holding in labs for 15 minutes.
Sorry, just took away from your intro because we're ridiculously immature.
Hi, Dr. Raquel. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I know everybody says this, but I really am a big fan of what you do, and all of my friends are huge fans of what you do. And I don't know if you really realize how much you allow people to just feel free. You know, like, I don't have to just be a mom. Like, I can be anything I want to be. I can be sexual. You know, I can explore. I can learn. But I'm so glad that you all are having me today.
Oh, my God. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really receive that. Sometimes we'd be talking to the people, but we can't really see anyone. So it just like, does anybody care?
Yeah.
This morning we had an interview with Essence asking us about Keke Palmer's boyfriend. I'm like, they're like, this is what they called us for? I'm like, I can't believe Essence is calling me for this, but hello?
Okay, fine.
And she was like, did you guys go to school for this?
I know.
And I was like, for women being free?
I know, we were just talking. She's like, I just have a question. Did you guys go to higher learning for this? And me and Mila were texting on the side like,
I was like, I have a master's degree.
I was like, bitch, we should have start telling people we did.
It was like women's studies.
We started gender and sexuality studies.
Women's freedom studies. Women's liberal freedom.
I'm a doctor of freedom.
Dr.
Exactly.
Freedom. Dr. Freedom. I'm leading. It's like what's her? No.
Who?
I'm Harriet Tubman.
What? Wait, where's this going?
I'm leading the women to freedom.
Oh,
but not on the Underground Railroad. On the mainstream railroad.
Okay.
On the internet.
On the mainstream?
The mainstream.
The mainstream.
The mainstream.
And it's so true, too, because I remember, I don't know where I saw that, but I remember somebody saying, like, I can name so many strong black women, but I can't name a lot of black women that are free. So I think that's what makes you all unique, is that how many strong black women do you know? Millions.
All of them.
You know what I mean? So it's like, but people like seeing you all get to be yourselves and you don't feel tied down to anything. Like, that's very unique.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. It's crazy that that's unique.
Right?
You know, but when you think about it, we have to kind of have to learn to be comfortable in our freedom, because we've been taught so often to conform and to be quiet and to take up less space and to like just be quiet, you know?
Yeah.
So it is like a tool, a muscle that has to be exercised to be like, am I tripping? Maybe, but fuck it.
right.
But
Might regret this later, but
YOLO.
Exactly.
There's nothing better I'd rather be known for.
Same. Amen. Well, so we have never had anyone on the show talk about fertility and infertility. And I think that this is, I don't want to say a taboo topic, but it is a topic that I think a lot of men feel ashamed about, or they don't really know where to go to get resources, or they think the resources are beyond them, too expensive to explore, scared. And because bitch, that's me. I'm like, I've been wanting to go get my eggs tested for a while, because I have been very dangerous and the bitch don't get pregnant. So I was like, is there something wrong with me? Because I used to think that even before I had my daughter, and I was in my 20s, and I was just letting my baby daddy shoot up the club like every single day, and nothing was happening. So I was like, am I broke? Not to say that if you can't have children, you're not broken, but that was really how I felt. And then I got pregnant.
You know what I think? I just thought about it because for like over a year and a half, I was like my baby daddy shoot up the club, and I was like, maybe I can get pregnant. But I think spiritually, I mean, this is gonna sound fucked up.
Bitch, don't get just fucked up out here with this ideology. You was protected by God, bitch. You ain't gonna get pregnant by that fuck nigga.
But then God was like, bitch, this is the 898th time you did not got the message. Pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to warn you.
For real. I feel like, no, I do feel like, not necessarily, like I've been pregnant by some niggas I didn't need to get pregnant by, but like that you have to, like your body has to want to receive the sperm. And I do believe in that solid year and a half. My God was like, are you sure?
Bitch, mine was about 4 years.
Because it was like in our prime, in our prime 20s, you know, the eggs would be wanting to get out.
Legit.
Be fertilized.
Yeah, I was 4 years like legit, really, and then I got scared. So then I was actually kind of trying to get pregnant, but like not like saying that out loud, but just to like check.
You got some furs on you.
Furry earrings. And then it's true. Actually, I ended up getting pregnant on vacation, and I was very relaxed, and I was very happy, and I was very free. And if you read our book, A Good Mom's Guide to Making Bad Choices, which you can find on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or at your local black bookstore, or click the link in this episode description, and hear about this story and how anal sex got me pregnant. But
I need to hear this story.
But yeah, no, I really thought I couldn't get pregnant, and then I did, and I was like, okay, cool. But even since then, I've had partners, or I've, not always maybe been the safest, and I've never gotten pregnant. So maybe it is God protecting me again, or maybe it is my low egg count. Who knows? But I actually went to a doctor and got a prescription or whatever, a form to go get tested get my eggs tested, and I never went because I got scared. I just never went.
Well, I guess it's like, then if you get this information, then what?
Right.
But now, I feel like it's like so appropriate that you're here now, because like, if you're just starting to listen to the show, like I was 29, we were like 29 and 30 when we started the show. And so like fertility was not a fucking question.
No.
In fact, I kept getting fucking pregnant like a dumb bitch. And then but as we age, and like even some of my friends are, wanting to have kids, or they're going to get their eggs checked, I'm like, huh. And now that we're considered geriatric pregnancy age, these are conversations that really should be common.
Fuck you.
And I'm also geriatric.
I hate that word.
Me too.
I hate it. Don't say that on here.
We're denouncing.
We don't. That doesn't exist.
Let's call it like
geriatric. I sound like my eggs on a fucking walker.
It's intentional pregnancy. I feel like if you get pregnant after 35, it's intentional pregnancy.
Yeah. Listen. My aunt was like, if you choose your baby daddy wrong at this age, you just don't give a fuck.
Your aunt is on to something.
I am 35.
Not if you choose
She was like, come on.
Because now you got all the tools to know that he was a baby daddy material.
Right.
Listen, sometimes you just got to fuck around and get a baby and to learn your lesson.
Exactly. No, it's true.
Even at 35, even at 40, you just don't know till you do it.
It's
then
true.
You're like, damn.
And I think, like you were saying about the test, I remember so many like people calling in just saying like, oh, I just watched the show Harlem, and I don't know if y'all watch Harlem, but
that was like Megan. That's Megan Good show.
Yeah, but it was like a group of women, and like two of them went and got tested, and that like sparked a huge thing amongst Black women to start talking about it.
I
like,
love that.
Oh, there's a test that I can do to see what my ovarian reserve is, and your ovarian reserve is just how many eggs you have left. So that was probably the test your doctor was having you do, and if you get that information and it's bad, then you have a decision to make. Like, I have a low ovarian reserve. This means that I have a very low chance of getting pregnant, if I don't make a plan in the next few years, or I need to freeze my eggs immediately. So sometimes people don't even want to get the test because they're like, I don't want to know. If it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, oh well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how did you get into this work? Like, as obviously you're a doctor, did you always know you wanted to be in women's health in that way as you journeyed into doctorhood?
No. So I actually went to school to be a naturopathic doctor. And then once I was in school...
What's a naturopathic doctor?
So a naturopathic doctor... They're classified as like primary care doctors, but we believe in the body's ability to heal itself. So like prevention is cure.
Oh, I love that.
And it, I feel like more doctors and more spaces are adopting this like functional medicine or root cause medicine. It's just naturopathic medicine with a bow on it. But we really believe that our bodies are capable of doing anything, and that's how I entered into the space of fertility. So when I first got started, I had a friend, Melanie, whose mom was an OBGYN in Atlanta, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I know I want to do women's health, and so I went to their practice in Midtown Atlanta, and I kept seeing all of these women because they were all able to get pregnant, but then I was seeing the women that couldn't get pregnant, and I was like, well, what happens to them? And they were like, oh, I don't know. Oh. We have to just refer them out. Like, it's literally nothing.
Throw them away.
Do. And it was so quiet in the room. It was like
no one had ever asked this question.
Yeah, it was just like, they were like, oh, sorry, it's been a year, or it's been 6 months, so we got to refer you out. But you could literally feel the silence. And so I was just like, okay, where do those women go? And that's what I want to figure out. And so I was in school in San Diego, finishing up med school, and there was a doctor who worked at San Diego Fertility Center, and she wanted to work specifically. Oh, I'm good. She wanted to work. I'll be all tongue tied. She wanted to work specifically with naturopathic medical students because she was trying to see how the environment affected our fertility, and so she was doing all of this research, just seeing
like
how,
the actual just environment, Earth.
Yeah, so like
or
plastics,
pollution.
Oh wow.
yeah, like
Okay.
plastics, pollution, mercury, arsenic. So she was actually testing these things in very young women who couldn't get pregnant. And so she was just looking for people to help her with the research, and that's literally how I got in.
Wait, I'm so curious about this research though. Like,
Yes.
what were the results?
Are we on our way to Handmaid's Tale? That's the first thing I
It's
thought.
so true.
Like-
It's real. So it showed that, especially people that traveled to like China, like a lot of her patients were people that like traveled often, or even people in California that, you know, maybe ate a lot of sushi, ate a lot of fish. But it just didn't make sense to her that people in their 20s were not able to get pregnant. And she's like, this is like the ideal time. So something's going on. So she would literally do blood tests and urine tests to look for like arsenic, cadmium, tin, mercury. And every single time it just lit up.
I'm scared. I eat a
Yeah,
lot of fish.
so-
I'm stopping. No more fish. We're done.
Yeah. So it literally showed how those things impacted, you know, your fertility. And so she was doing that. And then I worked with her for a few years. And then lo and behold, I met a doctor in Beverly Hills. He was doing the same thing. And that's how I got my first job. And
Wow.
I'm doing it for a while now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That you saw an issue and a problem, and you say, "Hey, how can I resolve that?"
Yeah.
Especially for like, it's so like just brown and black women specifically, to see someone that looks like you and be able to feel comfortable in that space, because
Yeah.
it is. I think, and people don't even know it's an option, because freezing your eggs is a luxury, and so it's like, if that's not even an option in your mind, you don't even think about, you know, all those things. So it's,
don't.
your work is so important.
Thank you. Thank you. You really don't think about it. And I think it was so important for me to follow the path that I did, because I think that sometimes the wires can get crossed, you know, like when people try to step on other people's toes. Like, if you break your arm, you cannot go see a naturopathic doctor. You got to go see a surgeon.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that sometimes that's where it gets messed up. But like a lot of the doctors that I've been lucky enough to work with, they understand that prevention is also a part of the treatment,
Right.
you know? And so we would work with people that were very young, had a very low ovarian reserve. We would test like their heavy metals, their, you know, if they were depleted in micronutrients, we would restore that. And then it would allow them to have like a better outcome for egg freezing and stuff like that. But what I noticed, and I was working in Beverly Hills, so I get it, but I started noticing that white women were bringing their 18-year-old daughters in to have their ovarian reserve tested. So they're like, oh, my daughter wants to go to law school or med school or
So
travel
we want to see how long we have.
What?
Right.
The parents?
The parents. They were like, I want to see, you know, what her ovarian reserve is like.
Why is that any of your motherfucking business?
Right.
First of all.
But they were helping
I mean, I guess
them.
maybe it's kind, or maybe it runs in their family. Like sometimes you know if like early menopause is something that's like generic. I mean, genetic. Not
I
generic.
get it. Yeah. I guess maybe I would hope it would be more the daughter. Maybe not. I don't know. It's not like they were forced. Maybe they're.
Come, you're gonna get those eggs.
It did sound like Handmaid's Tale. I was like, oh my god, it's creepy. But I could see in actually empowering your child to kind of just have having autonomy over your body and having as much information as possible.
Exactly. And they were so young. And so as women, we are born with all the eggs we'll ever have. So bringing them in at 18 is allowing them to see like, oh, this is what my fertility health is like in the present. I may need to go ahead and freeze my eggs now. So then in the future, when I'm done with med school, law school, I'm 35, 40, I have eggs from when I'm 18. But that is, right. So that's privilege though.
But you have like those are your highest eggs.
Yes.
But like even right now, if we froze I recently had Luna's aunt went through this process and explained it to me, and I was like, whoa! And I told her you were coming on the show, but I had no idea the level. Like you have to get the primest eggs. So essentially, if we froze our 18-year-old eggs, A, there's a lot of them, and B, they're the best.
Yep.
So and versus us freezing them right now, it's like they're all not going to make it, and now it's like, oh, it's going to be your 35-year-old eggs, and not your potent 18-year-old ones.
Are people just genetically, I guess, predisposed to having, like, some people just have more eggs from the beginning, or like there's not a certain amount of eggs
Right.
a human has, right?
Right.
So you could just genuinely be born with a low egg count, or is it ever low or it just suddenly decreases? I'm sure there's other factors involved, like health and all those things. But.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just decreases over time. Okay. So we all start with a pretty good amount of eggs, and then over time we just lose more and more. Like by the time we have our first period, we're already down a ton of eggs, and so we lose them over time. But like you're saying,
but you're losing eggs even before your first period.
No, which is trash.
How?
So like I was losing eggs. At 10.
It's like literally, and it like I can't remember the exact number, but like literally, as we're aging, we're already losing eggs. Like we're born with all the eggs we'll ever have, quite literally born with. But then by the time we have our first period, we're already down a ton. But that's why we're always so skeptical. Like, oh, how are these teenagers getting pregnant so early? Because they're supposed to.
Yeah,
like
that's genetically, that's how they're just like that's how we're treated. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
maybe not supposed to, but can.
Right. Because
we all know that's
I don't want to.
But like not supposed to.
But I don't want no teenager having no babies because bitch, I had a baby.
Mechanicals haven't caught up with the times.
I was done with
Right.
The mechanicals have not figured it out.
Right.
Like,
You're fertile as fuck right now. Like this is why it's happening. But yeah, I think like just seeing those girls, it really helped me to see like I have to create a space for Black women to know like, girl, you need to at least just see where you are, you know, because sometimes we don't feel like that's a possibility for us to even just know where we are, or we just don't want to know, or we assume like, oh, I'll be fine. Like my mom was fine, so I'll be fine. And that's not always the case.
Erica, do you want to go get your eggs checked together?
Will you hold my hand when we get the results?
Yes.
That's love.
Will you loan me some eggs if I need them?
Sure.
That's love.
I don't think you're lacking in the egg department, my love. I think you are. You are a Jamaican egg holder.
I was thinking that maybe I have too many. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe you have your teenage eggs still.
But that's another thing that I learned is that because one of my friends got her eggs checked, and then she was saying like hers are good but not great, or like however the amount is.
Oh, the quality of them?
And the doctor was telling her they could be great today. 6 months from those motherfuckers could be like.
What?
There's no way
that's a little fear mongering.
I know, and that's why it's like maybe I understand not knowing.
Like not knowing,
just like, but also we have and this is not the piece, but kind of the piece is that we already have experienced it. We have one child, so
that's
for
true.
someone who has not had any children, and
it's a different perspective,
you know,
it's a different
like,
want and need and to know,
right? And you know, it is empowering, and it is like, and we are like about the 18-year-olds going, but I'm like, if we were born into money and they're born into money and they're born into money, they would be like, of course we're going to the dentist today. You know, like you don't have to, but you can. You know, like it's just, you know what I mean? Like,
what is that?
I don't know.
You can.
Do you want your eggs reserved? Your 18-year-old eggs? Come on, lad.
Right. Let's just $15K. You know, let's just do it.
Oh yeah, because it's super expensive, and and that's another thing. It's also very like kind of trying on the body, right? You have to administer yourself shots. Yes. You have to see the doctor every day or every other day. Like you have to go to the doctor's office every other day.
Yep.
And so you have to commit. And then there's like all these other things, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it can take like 6 weeks. It can take 2 months because they're testing your eggs. Hopefully, if you have a good doctor.
Wait, to get tested, you have to do all this, or to actually
freeze?
Oh, okay.
To freeze, you have to start looking at the eggs and getting the healthiest eggs. So they have to monitor you. So in order to do that, you have to do it over a significant amount of time. Yep. And then you have to do all these things, these hormone shots to up the eggs to make them the primest eggs. And so that may take 1 month, that may take 2 months. Look at me, you think I'm the fertility.
I know. I'm like, are you the fertility advantage?
So much pressure off.
I just had this conversation. I was like, who fucking knew? I had no idea. Everyone's talking about like, I freeze my eggs. I'm like, what does that even entail?
Right.
Is she gonna forget? So wait, let's talk about the pricing, because I'm always at like, is it? I mean, obviously, this is a privilege if you can do something like this in ways,
sure.
right? Is there any way to put this on insurance? Is there any way to, like, are there things you can get around this?
Yeah.
Because, like, what are the options for people that don't have just $15,000 of disposable income to do something like that?
Yeah, that's real. Get a sugar daddy. No, I'm just
Can you imagine?
Step 1, get a sugar daddy.
Step 1, get a sugar daddy. Step 2.
But no. It is super expensive. It's $15,000. It's like the average price in the U.S. Most insurances don't cover it, which is so trash. But most insurances make you qualify as infertile before paying for any type of fertility care. So what a lot of people do is they find jobs that cover this care. So the health tech company I work at, we worked with employers to make sure employees have a fertility benefit. So what a lot of young women have been doing is getting like part-time jobs at big tech companies or Starbucks. There are different like small companies where you can work for them even part-time, and they have that fertility benefit.
At Starbucks, you can do that?
So you got to work part-time at a company that believes in your fertility to be able to avoid the $15,000 to $25,000 expense.
So, like, when you do get tested for infertility, what is that process? Like, what do you... have to do?
Yeah, so it's called ovarian reserve testing, and it's a blood test, simple blood test that they do, when you go to the doctor, and they'll look at like 3 different things. So typically they'll look at like your follicle stimulating hormone, your anti-Müllerian hormone, and your estrogen, and all of these hormones together tell the doctor like how many eggs you have left. So that's what they do to kind of assess like where you are in time.
So you don't have to like go at a certain time of the month?
Yes. So you do have to go on day 3 of your period.
Okay.
So typically what they'll say is...
That's right.
all
That's
right,
what they said to me.
Yeah. They'll say, call me as soon as your period starts. And then when your period starts, they'll have you come in around day 3 and they'll do the testing. But everybody doesn't have a normal period. So it creates like all type of like trouble for people that have PCOS or, other endocrine conditions, people that, don't have periods at all. It makes it really hard. Or a lot of women have been on birth control for 20 years. And they're like, oh, I still get my period because, that month I take the white pills or the last week I take the white pills. That's my period. And I'm like, no, it's not a real period. Like it's a withdrawal bleed. So a lot of people aren't getting periods, so they don't really know when to go. But typically it should be on day 3.
Does having an IUD or some kind of implanted or even being on regular birth control, does that affect the testing?
Yes. So that does affect the testing. And what most doctors will do, IUDs, they leave them in now. They used to take them out first, just so they can get like an accurate number. But what they'll do now, if it's an IUD, they'll let you leave it in and still run the test. But if you're taking birth control, they'll typically ask you to stop for a month and then come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about a non-hormonal birth control?
Yeah, that's typically
IUD.
fine.
Does that affect
Like copper?
The copper. Does it also affect the count?
No. So copper IUDs are the best option because they don't have any hormones. So your body can actually give a real result. Yeah.
One time
at band
Can't wait for this story.
One time, one of the other soccer moms told me that if my periods were short,
Oh my God, you're never going to let this bitch live this down. Jamila's pissed about this. She's been thinking about this for 2 years. But when she told me, I was like, bitch, what?
I told you, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you think that's true? And
Wait,
then you
what?
made me mad. She told me that if you have, because I generally don't have a very long period, like maybe 5 days.
Yeah.
Now that I'm on this copper IUD, I feel like the periods are kind of a little bit like...
I think 5 days is pretty average, right?
But anyway, she told me the shorter your periods are, it means you have less eggs.
That is not true.
Trying to
My
scare
southern
you.
accent came out. That is
Trying to-
Not
she
true.
was trying to scare you.
She was. People just be saying shit.
Well, yeah.
Maybe she was projecting.
How do you feel about birth control? Because I know, like, there's currently there's a lot of talk about how birth control, kind of alters your decision making because your hormones are being regulated and like who you choose as a partner and things like that. And just being on it long term, hasn't really been. No one really talks about the long term effects of being on birth control.
Yeah.
And like, and then recently, our producer told me that it was terrible, and so I just got off birth control. Bad idea. but
Not her told you. You know birth control.
she got me all riled up. I'm like, fuck birth control. You're right. It's poisoning me. It's poisoning me. But like, as a fertility doctor, what do you recommend as what is your what do you use as contraceptive?
Yeah. So I got off birth control a couple of years ago because I do want to be pregnant soon. And the biggest thing with birth control is that it really can alter your hormones. It can alter like a lot of your micronutrients in your body, and it does affect like your mood, your behavior, everything. But I think that in today's society, with so much like attention around abortion, some people can actually get a felony. You can go to jail. I think that if you're in a state where people are really monitoring you, and if you get pregnant, like the worst will happen, you absolutely need to be on birth control. Like, no questions asked. But however, if like I do want to get pregnant in the next 5 years, even if you don't necessarily have a partner, I do think it's important to just give your body a break, especially if you've been on it for like 10 plus years. You want to give your body a break to see like, are my cycles even regular, or has this birth control been masking my period? So I think it's important to give your body a break so you can get like the right testing done, so you can really see where you are. Because if you're in a good place, then you can say, okay, I'm in a good place. I'm not really ready to get pregnant right now. I'll start again. But I think it's important to like have a plan. That's what I'm all about. It's like fertility planning or family planning, because I think it just kind of saves you a lot of stress down the line. Yeah.
I was reading this statistic, and it was that it was like 48 million couples are struggling with infertility around the world. I was like, 48 million.
Oh yeah, so that brings me back. That's what I had a question about. Thank you. The doctor in San Diego who did the studies about the environment, what were the findings? Like, is there somewhere we should live that maybe we'd have better chances?
Is it in the water?
Well, there's been studies about like fish in the stream that are like the streams that are being let out, like because there's so many pharmaceuticals in those like the water. There's studies of fish turning from like male to female.
I remember hearing that.
So if that's happening to small animals, like it's definitely changing our, us on a
Yeah, and her findings really did show that things from our environment really do impact our fertility, especially in couples that present it as like subfertile. So these are like people that are otherwise healthy, but she can't really figure out why they can't get pregnant, or their markers are just a little bit below normal. But it did show that, especially
God said no.
Right.
God said no. You don't need to create. No. I'm just kidding. That's fucked up.
But God said absolutely not. No, but it was true. It was true. She's looking at you like, what?
I'm mortified.
I couldn't help it. I didn't mean it.
Like, leave me alone. But no, it showed that, especially like plastics, heavy metals, mercury, all of these things really were impacting like the outcome of their treatment cycles. And what she would do, which I thought was brilliant, was that instead of saying like live in a box, live in a cube, which is unrealistic, she would do like a detoxification protocol, which was like $1,000 per person. This is another privilege.
What's a detox vacation protocol?
And should we just be doing that once a year? Just for living in American soil?
In general.
How often do you do it a year for the detox?
And also, is all this pollution, is it population control?
Right.
Wait, what is detox? What did you call it?
It was a detoxification protocol that she would do.
Wait, is it a vacation?
No, bitch, a detox.
That was some good ass whatever.
That's not 8%. That's not 8%. That's THC. Nelly.
That's some strong ass weed.
She can't even hear us.
She's like, what is a vacation?
She said a detox vacation protocol.
That's what
she said.
And I didn't want to say nothing, but your eyes have been like getting lower. Like,
I know. She passed it to me. I was like, we might need to put that out. I was like, that's 7% is feeling a lot like 14.
She lied.
Oh my God, we might need to put the rest of this on Patreon. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm awake. I'm
here. I'm present.
I'm present.
I was just focusing on every syllable that you said.
It's just it's one word.
True.
Detoxification. She's like, damn, what kind of vacation is that?
It's $1,000.
Right.
That's all she heard.
But how long does that detoxification last? I mean, is it once a year and then you're good? Or you have to do it many times? Is it like a series of detoxifications?
Yeah, we were doing it over a 6-month period because it was for a research study. So what we would do is modify like the diet, of course, so making sure that you're having more cruciferous vegetables, which are just like dark leafy vegetables that bind toxins and help you excrete them. We would do like supplements to help you also excrete, and then like sauna therapy too. Super simple. So not anything that was like very expensive, but because she was the doctor, like using her time, it was expensive. But what really stood out to me was how the only people that could get it were people that could afford that.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, and there aren't only white women or, other brown women that need this care. There are other women that also need to have this type of care, but who has an extra $1,000?
Right.
To say, just detox me from the air that I have to breathe.
Let me just see. I don't know if it'll work, but let me just see. And that's why I really wanted to start the Fertility Advantage, to just kind of start throwing shit out there, because I knew okay, I can't see everybody at this clinic. I know people don't want to pay this money, but how can I get this information out to my girls? So I was like, I'm just going to start making posts about it, and I'll see if it helps. And, a lot of people start reaching out like, oh shit, that's what was wrong with me, or this small little thing helped make a big difference. So, to me, it's unrealistic to think that you can just block yourself from everything but you can like make small little changes in your day-to-day to help like optimize your chances and things like that.
What is your, I guess, maybe experience or knowledge on IVF? Because usually that's kind of like the next step after you've decided that, conceiving, I guess naturally is not in the cards for you. And so you're now going into IVF. And I had a distant friend that did it. So I don't really know like all the details. And I think there's a lot of, it's almost like mystery around what it is and the process and how you feel throughout the process. What is your knowledge on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big part of what I did in my previous job, or supported my supervisor in that role, and that's what I do a lot now. But the biggest thing with IVF is that, number one, your insurance can cover it. So if you have been trying to get pregnant for a year and you've had no success, this is like unprotected sex for a full year, that would like classify you as infertile.
What?
Yeah.
So basically I was infertile. I'm infertile.
Right, and that's under 35. If you're over 35, it's 6 months of unprotected sex.
I'm infertile.
Wait, if you're over 35?
It's 6 months of unprotected sex and not a successful pregnancy. That would be.
Why does the window get shorter when you get older?
Yeah, it's because, like, again, as women, we're born with all the eggs we'll ever have. And so at 35, that's when researchers see that, they start to see that decline. So that's why they give you that 6 month window to say, like, hey, girl, you need to go get tested.
Well, basically, but that only gives you 12 times to like prove.
Because it's only like 2 days
that
out of
you're
the month
not
that you
infertile.
can actually get pregnant.
Right. Like typically like a 5-day like fertile window.
Okay.
Yeah. But typically the good thing is that oftentimes IVF can be covered. And what a lot of people don't know is that, yes, there are like 1 in 8 couples that suffer with infertility, but 90% of the cases can be solved through science. So things like IVF. And so with IVF, and that's just in vitro fertilization, what they do, just like what your friend did, is that they do put you on medication to really force your body to create far more eggs than you would in a cycle. And then they retrieve those eggs. They can fertilize it with your partner's sperm or a donor. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have no man. They can fertilize each egg with sperm, and then it'll create embryos over the course of like 5 days. And then you would actually freeze the rest of the embryos and then transfer one to your uterus. And then that's the entire process. It's about $25,000.
I was gonna say, how much is this?
Yeah.
But the transfer has to be a certain day. You have to do all the shots.
Yes.
And then on a certain special day, then you go, and then they put you to sleep, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So the cool thing about IVF is that if you froze your eggs in the past, you don't have to go through the process again. You would just use the eggs you already froze.
So you don't have to go through the process of first retrieving them and then implanting them. You can just go ahead and just for the implantation, do you have to like administer yourself shots to increase your chances?
Yeah. So with the shots, which is so important, that's something that a lot of people don't really like, is that when you do the process of maturing your eggs for retrieval, you do have to give yourself between like 1 to 4 shots per day.
It's a lot. And they have to be refrigerated. So if you're at work or something, they have to be in the refrigerator. Yeah. And they have to be the same time every day.
Yep.
So if you're driving, no matter what, and it
work,
and it's for
where do you put it, in your butt?
Your stomach, I think?
Yeah, stomach. It can be like stomach, thigh, or butt.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it's typically for like 2 weeks. Some of the drugs are oral, most of them are injectable. But yeah, you do that for 2 weeks, and then after that, that's when you get ready for the surgery. So in your egg retrieval surgery, you are put to sleep by an anesthesiologist, and while you're asleep, the doctor actually uses needle aspiration to lightly suction each one of your ovaries and then remove all of those eggs. You are completely asleep, but it is as painful as it sounds.
Slightly suction.
They go into your vagina and then they
pierce through the wall on each side.
Oh.
With a needle?
With a needle.
Okay, so it's okay. And so then, I'm sorry, then what happens? Your ovaries, they retrieve the eggs.
Mm-hmm, so they go through the vaginal wall. Let's say they're on the left side. They're pierced through the left vaginal wall. Then they'll pierce through your ovary. Mm-hmm. And then what's really cool is your ovaries have these little follicles in them. Mm-hmm. And the follicles are just like little tiny fluid-filled sacs that contain your eggs. And then the needles just go in and suction each egg. So they get all of them from one side, go back in, pierce through the other side.
How can they see?
Do the same thing again.
Yeah,
it's all under ultrasound guidance.
Yeah, right.
So they know where they are when they're.
And then, once those eggs are gone, they then insert the fertilized eggs, right? Or is that how it works?
Right. So they'll retrieve all the eggs, and then there's an embryologist in the room at the same time. So there'll be like a doctor like sitting right here, or surgeon. Then the embryologist will be right behind them because they have to pass those eggs to them. And then what they'll do is they'll take them to a lab, fertilize it with sperm immediately, and then over the course of 5 days, little embryos or little babies start to develop.
And that's what you freeze.
And that's what you freeze.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and most people transfer one of them fresh, so it typically takes 5 days for them to develop, and then most people will transfer one fresh, or some people will freeze them and then send it off for like further genetic testing. So you can like test it to see if it has genetic mutations or chromosomal abnormalities. You can see if it's a girl or a boy, all types of things.
And then when you are I didn't realize this. So when you have in vitro, you're actually implanting, I guess, an already
Started up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. I mean, 5 days. I didn't know. Like, I don't know why.
Because it's bigger, so it's easier to implant.
Yes.
And to retrieve, because it's a little bit bigger to work with.
Exactly.
I have a question. When you pierce vaginal wall to retrieve the eggs and then have to go back to fertilize it, what is that? Is that not? I mean, I can imagine that's not great for the uterine wall.
Lining,
Yeah. So the vaginal wall, most people will say they feel like vaginal pain, cramping, and bleeding, but the doctor doesn't have to go beyond your cervix. So they're not in your uterus; they're kind of still in your vaginal canal. So luckily, they don't go through your cervix into your uterus.
Okay, because like the ovaries are on these sides,
right?
So it's kind of like going off to the diagonal, not going up.
Yeah,
exactly right.
So you're just like, I'm gonna make a curve left right here.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right. Instead of going this way, and that's why it's piercing because there's tissue. Okay.
Yeah, because if they had to go through the cervix, it would be a much longer recovery.
What are the chances of you not being able to retrieve the eggs, like going under this procedure and then it not being able to?
That's real.
Yeah, like, is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
And what's the statistic on that? Is it high?
Yeah, so it's typically higher for women that are closer to 40. But the good thing is that's why that testing is so important, because sometimes when you do the testing, the doctor can say, okay, I'm going to be honest, we don't see a lot of eggs on ultrasound. That's the only way they can see them at first, is through a transvaginal ultrasound. So they'll say we only can see about 4 eggs. So it's highly likely that when we go in for the surgery, we only retrieve immature eggs, and you have to start from the beginning. That does happen quite often, honestly. So that's another $25,000. You got to start from the beginning.
Oh, because that's you don't get to try twice.
But that's why my friend was telling me it's also really important that you go to a good doctor, because a good doctor is going to make sure like doing everything in their power in like right before the surgery, like asking you to come in every other day to test your eggs and see the consistency, because she said she knows people who will take that money and not have made it the best chances and the best eggs possible, because maybe they don't want to meet you every other day or whatever it is. They're
Isn't
like,
that part of the process? Like, you have to do that?
well, that's why these conversations are important, because you may not know. You're just giving over this money expecting, you would do that if you know you can. But some people, if you don't know the questions to ask, you don't fucking know. And so you should, that's why it's good to vet your doctors, and it's good for us to have these conversations and not feel shame around them, because this is the only way we'll find out. I literally only know this because she told me.
I only know this because of this conversation. That's why I'm going through a range of emotions, because I'm like, what? What?
And it gives you like, I feel like so many people don't know that like science really does help solve 90% of cases of infertility, and so many people don't know that. And I think especially Black women, like we were talking about before the show, like there's so much shame around like, oh, I can't do it myself, that means something is wrong with me. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. It just means that you might need a little bit of help. Your story might just look a little bit different, but it's still normal. I think sometimes it's like, oh, I can't have a baby the normal way. And there is no normal way to have a baby. Like whatever way you have to take is your way. And sometimes IVF is that way, or IUI, or surrogacy, or adoption. I think sometimes people don't want to like expand their definitions of motherhood, and so they just feel very limited, but yeah.
What do you think about like using like homeopathic medicines for infertility? Is that, I mean, I hear you say that the science is 90% effective. There's people out there that are like, I don't want to get my eggs injected. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Is that also, in your opinion, obviously, I think, yes, with science, there's one thing between putting a whole needle up inside your ovaries, sucking some shit out, versus eating well and taking certain herbs or whatever the case may be. You know, obviously, like, science is, what were we talking about? Urgency and efficiency?
Urgency. So everything is urgency and efficiency. Urgency
versus
and efficiency.
nature's medicine is going to take some fucking time. But have you seen women in your practice, like, I guess, go that route or like try to marry the two, or what does that look like?
Yeah, and that's how I got into the space, is marrying the two. I think marrying the two is important because you want to have the appropriate testing done to see if it's even a possibility. So I think first, if you know that your hormones are okay, and doctors also need to do that transvaginal ultrasound to see how many follicles you have on each side. You want to make sure there's no fibroids or polyps like blocking the place that the baby would try to implant. You want to do like testing to make sure your fallopian tubes aren't blocked. I think once you know that those things are okay, then you want to try to incorporate more like, you know, like you said, homeopathy or naturopathic medicine or functional medicine. I think those things are important. But as a naturopathic doctor, I'm still saying it. I think you still want to know that you're okay first, because you would hate to be eating 8 cups of broccoli and your fallopian tubes are blocked. It's like, bitch, why did I just eat all this broccoli?
It's not changing. That's not going to do the trick.
Yeah, because, you know, when your eggs are traveling down that fallopian tube, the sperm has to get through to meet the egg and create that embryo. So if your tubes are blocked, no amount of nutrition is going to reverse that. So I think, like, marrying the two, to me, is so important, especially as we get well into our 30s.
And understanding, like, identifying exactly what may or may not could be the trouble, but just instead of aimlessly just like, I'll be fine drinking herbs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, us as 35-year-old women, do you, like, if you ideally had an age for women to start during this process, what would be your suggestion?
Yeah, I would say 30, 35. I think like 30, I think when you get 30 and you're not partnered at 30, but you know you want a family, I would say this is a good time to say, you know what, let me just go get this testing done. Because the initial testing is not that expensive. Like, the initial testing is typically between like $150 to $300, and that's like even like Beverly Hills. I feel like the most expensive place I saw here was like $475, and that includes like the imaging, the blood test. And so some people think it's real expensive, and it's not.
Okay.
And sometimes your insurance will even identify that as preventive care. So having that testing done, even your OBGYN might do it. So then that way it's covered. But I think at 30, if you're like, okay, these niggas is trash, I don't have nobody I really like, but I know I want a family, let me make sure I'm good so that when I am ready, you know, I'm good to go, rather than just kind of waiting it out, you know, and unfortunately having a harder time in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that, yeah.
Have you seen a lot more women decide to take agency over their, you know, their family planning, you know, even in single, I know, like, the more women be professionals, and, you know, it's more, you know, people are doing it more.
Yeah. I feel like most of my calls are single parent family building, which I think is so fire. Like, I think it's amazing because sometimes we rush into relationships that we know might not be great because we're like, I really need to have a baby. You're not my choice, but I really want to have a baby. And I love that single parent family building allows you to say, like, I'm going to have a baby. I really want a baby, so I'm going to go ahead and have a baby. And if I meet someone, great. But if not, I still have the family that I want. So I do see far more white women doing it than I see black women. But again, I don't know if that's just the demo at my job, you know, but I do see a lot more women taking agencies. There's so many like Facebook groups of women building communities all around building families by themselves. And you can literally do that by finding a sperm donor, somebody you know who you cool with, or, you know, actually going to a donor agency and finding someone, and you can do like intrauterine insemination or at-home insemination to start your own family, and it's not as expensive.
Man, I think that my hope is that a woman that makes that choice is getting her tribal in line. I really hope so, because yes, I understand this, and I have the privilege of having a child, so like I can sit here and say this, right? And I'm aware of that, but I think also because I have one, I really understand how important it's not just the want and need to have a child, but like, do you have the community in place, the circle in place to help support and raise that child and support yourself? Because this shit is not meant to be a one-person job. It really, truly isn't. you know? And so do you have like other like men or whatever in your family that are going to step up and be and hopefully be that? Obviously, shit. Listen, people have partners and it doesn't work out and they're, you know, out here alone as well. But I will say, if you have the luxury of even going through this process, like, bitch, get your tribe.
Yeah.
Get your tribe.
This is not a one person job. Like for real, like at all. Like honestly, like having a boyfriend, I realize that I'm like, you know,
if you can have the most ideal situation, that is the most. It doesn't mean like you have to have a nigga, but just like make sure you have
people who are going to show up for you and like have you like give you breaks because you need to have other people, like a lot of other people.
You need that god. You need about 3 god moms, two god dads,
2 grandparents,
your parents.
Yeah. No, it's important.
What about you, like personally? What is? I mean, have you frozen your eggs? Like, is this something? Have you gotten your eggs tested? Like, do you get a discount because you work in this shit? Can you give our discount code? We'll put it on Patreon exclusively.
If we get our eggs checked, can we get a discount?
Click this link in our episode description.
You can get a discount you'll get your eggs checked. We got an egg check. How about you?
Right.
$50 off.
Bitches, that's
when you say good moms.
Watch now the ad is gonna be fed to my fucking phone.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be. Oh my god, there's gonna be so many.
I know it
because there's so many at home tests too. But
there's at home.
My employer covers it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I'm able to do it. But it is something I have to do this year. I was putting it off. I'm like, okay, if nothing.
So you haven't done it yet?
I haven't done it yet. Okay. But my goal is to do it this year. I prefer to do it at home in Georgia, where like my mom and sister are, just so I have support throughout the process and after my surgery, because you do have to have someone there with you after the surgery. But it is definitely something I want to do because I do want to have a family, and I just don't know when it's going to happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I was just thinking, like, God, I mean, either way, it can be challenging whether you're partnered or not. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily, even if you're partnered, mean that person's going to show up the way that you want them to anyway.
Yeah,
and that can sometimes be more devastating. You're in the house with someone that you don't feel supported by, and sleeping next to someone you don't feel supported by, and the resentment, you know, that agitation grows.
Yeah,
so that's a fact.
Yeah, and I think like having a choice. I think that's what I see egg freezing as. It's like giving yourself agency to say, like, you know what, I might not use these eggs. I actually might, you know, meet somebody, get pregnant, not need them, but I want to have the choice. You know what I mean, in the future, and I get to see it in my everyday life, so I know that it's a very real thing that I have to pay attention to. But yeah, to me, just making sure that I am set up in the future if I do need it.
Well, thank you so much for all this information. I feel a lot more educated on it.
Me too.
I also feel like I need to dive almost deeper. I'm like, I need to see a picture of these little implants. I'm about to go on Google and do a weird deep dive.
5-day embryo?
Yeah. I want to see like the surgery. Like I want to see like there's got to be some videos.
No, for sure. I can imagine it in my head. Like I want to gentle suction.
Yeah, it's so many
like
YouTube
a long
videos.
noodle.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Okay, one last question.
Okay.
Do Black women over 35 have a higher chance of having multiples?
Ooh, good question.
Is this a fact? Is this a fact?
I saw it as a fact. That's why I'm asking again.
That's a good question. I haven't seen that, but I do know with certain procedures, certain things you do increase your risk of multiples. So like if you were to do like intrauterine insemination at a clinic, so that's where they just like inject the sperm through your cervix, that does increase your risk of multiples.
Right.
But I haven't seen it like in Black women specifically.
I saw a statistic that Black women have higher chance, like
Really?
no, like our chances of having multiples after 35 are like increase significantly.
Ooh,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I know.
Ain't nobody at the fucking time.
You know, Orlando's mom's a twin.
Oh. It's like, what's up?
Face.
I'm so thankful that you came and we got to ask all these millions of questions.
Yes. I appreciate you for just inviting me. You have such a beautiful community, and I think it's important just for them to know, like, you have options and you can build a life however you want.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Can you tell our people where? Oh, actually, no. Wait. Do you have an affirmation?
I
yeah.
do.
Yes.
I do. She told me to bring one. I had to, but I'll stick with being me is how I win.
Being me is how I win. That's a fact.
How I win. Yes.
Yeah.
We pulled a tarot card at the beginning of the show.
I am so nervous about it.
Tarot card.
I told her Drea's reading from Poor Minds.
I think it was.
The one who's like a friend is about to betray you.
I was like, oh, please don't let me pull that. I love them. I was like, please don't let me pull that.
I need to check in on her and see what would happen.
Did anyone see me? Right.
Yeah.
I just saw her. She looked like she was on vacation. She looked perfectly fine.
I know, they were living their
Okay.
best life. Fine ass hoes.
Fine ass
In
hoes on
Ibiza,
boats, being
Miami.
fine.
I was like, bitch, take me with you. I'll be your girlfriend.
Right.
I told Dre, I said, bitch, if it don't work out, we'll be together. Okay. We just be together.
Lex is not lesbian. Do we need to do a double, like a
Oh.
double wives situation?
Oh my god.
The 9 of Wands means resilience, courage, persistence.
Wait, this guy looks fucked up. Poor guy.
Is it 9? Am I counting it wrong?
It is Renine. He does look like he had to be resilient. He has like a cloth on his head. Like
Test
he just
of
got beat
faith
up.
and boundaries.
Good.
That's what it says.
That is perfect.
Wait,
for
test of
me.
faith and boundaries.
I'm high. I forgot what I just said. Yeah. Test of faith and boundaries.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Biddy Tarot that has been teaching us tarot for 2 years.
Wow.
9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands comes as a sign that even in the face of adversity, you stand tall and strong. You may be on the edge of exhaustion, but you are resilient, persistent, and ready to do what it takes to get to the finish line. This card may also come when you feel battered and bruised, having endured significant challenges and struggles along your path. Just when you think you are making progress, you suffer another setback. The 9 of Wands asks you to trust that this is merely a test of your grit and resilience, and know that every time you overcome an obstacle, you are getting stronger. You have the inner resources necessary to overcome any difficulty you encounter, even though it may seem impossible at the time. See this 9 as an assurance that you will eventually prosper if you maintain your position. And if you do not succeed at first, then try again.
Ooh, that's a word.
If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself up and try again. Get the seat up.
I haven't heard that.
Sorry.
Couldn't resist.
I couldn't. It just went there. They said it. They said the lyrics right there. The lyrics are right there.
I received that. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, thank you for coming on our show. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you.
me.
I appreciate all the work that you do. I think that it's really important for Black women to see other Black women doing the work that you do and making and normalizing it and destigmatizing this idea around infertility, and that you don't have options, and that there's something wrong with you, and that you won't be able to experience motherhood if that's what you so choose. So I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at the Fertility Advantage, Twitter Raquel Hammonds, and my YouTube is What the Fertility.
What the Fertility? I love that.
Like what the fuck? But
Yeah, so subscribe to her YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube, get on YouTube right now. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. We'll see you October 21st.
Oh, yeah.
After the show, right?
Oh, yeah, guys, we're having a live show.
On October 21st in LA at the Telegram Ball. Is that? No.
Telegram.
Telegram Ballroom. I'm going to have them at the Telegram if it's the last thing I do. I don't know where it is. The Telegram Ballroom. Come get ratchet with us. It's Confessions of a Good Mom. And yeah. See you guys later.
We got high. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. 7% in my ass.
Suspirió en la noche, solo puedo recordar la luz.